The planet Leora stretched beneath twin suns, its surface a jagged landscape of copper plains and crystal spires that caught the light like scattered fire. Humans had settled here years ago, drawn by the planet's rare crystals, stones that hummed with energy, useful for everything from power generation to advanced technology. The colony was small but determined, a fragile web of shelters, machines, and hopeful minds clinging to survival in the harsh environment. Among them was Dr. Elias Wren, an engineer whose hands were skilled, but whose heart carried the quiet weight of past mistakes. Elias walked along the edge of the plateau, checking the crystal processors, listening to their soft hum. His life had always been about fixing things. Machine system situations he barely understood. But here, on Leora, he felt strangely inadequate. Humans had built structures and machinery, but there were forces beyond calculation, beyond logic, that he could not control. And yet, despite the uncertainty, he felt a pull toward the unknown, as if something was waiting for him on this desolate world. The sky shifted suddenly. A strange ripple appeared in the distance, far above the horizon, unlike anything Elias had ever seen. The air shimmered and vibrated subtly, as though reality itself were bending. Settlers paused in their work, eyes wide, unsure whether to run or watch. The ripple grew, spreading into a massive distortion. Elias's pulse quickened as the humming of the crystals beneath his feet grew louder, almost like they were warning him. And then, the craft appeared. It hovered silently in the sky, enormous, smooth, and reflective. Its surface gleamed with a strange metallic luster that seemed alive, shifting with light and shadow. No engines, no wings, no visible means of propulsion. It was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The settlers scattered, fear overtaking curiosity. But Elias stood frozen, drawn toward it. He felt deep within him that this was not just a machine. It was something far greater. A hatch opened without a sound. The figure that emerged was human-shaped but unlike any human Elias had ever seen. Her movements were fluid, precise, yet graceful in a way that suggested she did not need guidance. Her hair shimmered like silver threads in the copper sunlight, and though her eyes were blank and milky, her presence radiated an awareness that seemed to pierce the minds of those around her. She walked as if the ground itself welcomed her. Elias felt an odd sensation, a mix of awe and fear. The settlers whispered among themselves, some calling her a goddess, others calling her an illusion. And then she spoke. Her voice was soft, melodic, and resonant, yet it carried directly into the mind rather than the ears. "Do not fear," she said. "I am Kalara. I come to choose." The words were simple, but they resonated. Even the fearful felt a sense of calm wash over them. Elias did not hesitate. He stepped forward, toward her. I can guide you," he said. "I know the land. I can help you move safely." Kalara turned her head toward him. Though her eyes saw nothing, Elias felt her gaze as a force, deep and penetrating. "You are the one," she said. Her tone was gentle, yet absolute. Elias felt a shiver run through him. She did not choose the strongest, nor the smartest, nor the fastest. She chose him for reasons he could not yet understand. The settlers watched as Kalara extended her hand, not to touch, but to sense. She moved among the crystal formations, her presence causing them to hum louder, their pulses brighter. Machines and sensors, previously silent, now thrummed as though alive. Elias followed closely, explaining the dangerous spots, the unstable cliffs, the treacherous crystal formations. She listened intently, nodding occasionally, but her steps were careful, precise, guided by something beyond vision. "Energy," she whispered, pausing near a towering crystal spire. "It is alive, not power, but consciousness." Elias felt a chill. He had studied these crystals as resources, as tools. He had never considered that they could be sentient, connected, aware. Yet standing beside Kalara, he realized that their presence resonated with her in a way it did not with humans. The planet itself seemed to recognize her, to respond to her being. The day passed slowly. Kalara asked questions, not about machinery, but about humans, their fears, their desires, and the choices that shaped them. She tested Elias gently, asking him why he chose to save or protect, why he acted despite risk. Each answer he gave revealed something about himself, about courage, and about the human heart. Kalara listened, silent but present, sensing the depth of his intentions. As night fell, Elias led her to the observation deck overlooking the settlement. The twin suns had set, leaving a deep orange and purple horizon, and the first stars began to twinkle. Kalara did not look at the sky. She extended her hands slightly, sensing the air, the vibrations of life, the pulse of the colony below. "You carry burdens," she said softly, "yet you stand. You choose despite fear and doubt." Elias felt tears prick his eyes. No one had ever spoken to him like that, seen him in such a way. Not his mentors, not his family, not even the people who had doubted him. She had seen through him, not with eyes, but with understanding. "I don't know why you chose me," he admitted. "I'm not special." "I'm just trying to survive." "You are more than you know," she replied. Choice defines more than ability. Courage is the measure of the heart, not the eyes. The settlers below watched from their windows and shelters, whispering about the goddess who could see without eyes. Her presence inspired awe and hope. She was not a conqueror. She was a teacher, a guide, a mirror reflecting the potential of those who dared to act rightly. Elias stayed by her side long into the night. For the first time, he slept without the weight of doubt pressing on his chest. Outside, the hum of the crystals was a quiet reminder that the planet itself was alive, that every choice mattered, and that Kalara's arrival was no accident. The following morning, signs of something larger began to appear. Unstable energy patterns flickered in the skies, and distant shadows moved on the horizon. Kalara did not flinch. Instead, she turned to Elias, her blank eyes somehow meeting his gaze. "They are coming," she said, "not to destroy, but to test. Humanity will face choices it has never faced before. You will face them with me, or without me. You will struggle alone." Elias swallowed hard. He had faced challenges before, but nothing like this. The stakes were higher than he had imagined, the consequences far beyond his understanding. And yet he felt a strange calm, a sense of destiny he could not ignore. "I will do my best," he said. "I will guide them. I will not fail." Kailara's presence seemed to brighten as she extended her awareness outward, sensing the vibrations of the planet, the energy of the crystals, the pulse of every human heart below. "Even blind, I chose humanity," she said softly. "And through you, they will learn to see themselves." As the twin suns rose again over Leora, Elias realized that the true journey had only begun. The goddess who saw with her heart had arrived, and humanity would never be the same. For the first time, he understood that survival was not just about strength, or technology, or numbers. It was about courage, choices, and the heart. And with Kalara by his side, humanity had a chance not just to endure, but to rise. The next morning on Leora was colder than usual, the copper plains shimmering under the twin suns but carrying a tension in the wind. Elias moved among the settlers, checking the equipment, inspecting the crystal processors, and quietly noticing the unease on every face. Though the colony had survived Kalara's arrival without harm, something in the air hinted that this was only the beginning. Kalara walked beside him, silent yet aware of everything. Though blind, she sensed the vibrations of life, the hum of the crystals, and even the subtle fears of the humans. She did not need eyes to see what was hidden. The intentions, the courage, the doubt, and she acted as a guide, her presence alone lending focus to the settlers. "They are coming," she said softly. Elias flinched at the certainty in her voice. "Shadows. They do not understand life as you do. They will test not just strength, but character." Elias nodded, trying to steady his racing thoughts. "How do we prepare? We have shields, weapons, some knowledge of the terrain." But, he trailed off. Words were inadequate to express the scale of what she meant. These were not ordinary invaders. These were beings who saw only what they wanted. Creatures who did not hesitate to take without understanding, to destroy without reason. Kailara raised her hand toward the crystal spires. "Energy responds to intent. Fear weakens, courage strengthens. You will need both." Elias understood. This was not just about weapons. It was about heart. The settlers gathered in the central courtyard, anxious, but willing to listen. Elias addressed them, his voice firm. "We face something unknown. We cannot predict everything they will do, but we have something they cannot understand. Our choices, our courage, and our ability to act for one another. If we stay together and use our minds as well as our hearts, we can survive." Kailara stepped forward. Her presence was calming, yet commanding. Courage is not absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. Wisdom is not knowing all answers, but choosing what is right when none are clear. Humanity carries both within. I can guide, but the choice is yours. The humans listened, some skeptical, some inspired. Even the youngest settlers felt a spark of hope. Kailara's guidance was not orders, but a force that encouraged thought, reflection, and bravery. Hours later, the first signs of the shadows appeared. Dark shapes moved on the horizon, barely visible against the copper sky. They were sleek, swift, and silent, approaching with deadly precision. Settlers panicked. Weapons were readied, and alarms rang across the plateau. Elias felt his pulse quicken, but he stayed calm. This was why Kailara had chosen him, to act with judgment when fear was everywhere. The first skirmish began quickly. Shadow ships swooped down, firing concentrated energy at the outlying structures. The settlers scrambled, uncertain how to respond. Elias took a deep breath and began directing them, placing each group in positions where they could defend without being trapped, where each obstacle could be used as advantage. Kailara moved among them, guiding subtly, sensing fear, courage, and hesitation, amplifying confidence where it faltered. A small group became trapped near a cluster of unstable crystal spires. Elias sprinted to their aid, dodging laser fire, shouting instructions. Kailara's voice, soft and melodic, seemed to echo in his mind, guiding his steps. "The path is clear to the left. Trust it. Trust yourself." Following her guidance, he maneuvered the group safely behind a crystal outcrop. Just as a shadow ship swooped past, relief flooded him. But there was no time to celebrate. Every action mattered. Every choice could save or doom lives. As the battle continued, Elias noticed a pattern. The shadows were precise but rigid. They reacted to predictable movements, but they could not anticipate improvisation or emotional decision-making. He directed settlers to act unpredictably, to use decoys, and to lure enemy ships into traps with timing and improvisation. Each time a plan worked, the humans gained confidence. Kailara spoke only when necessary, asking questions rather than giving instructions. "Why do you risk yourself for them?" she asked Elias during a lull. He looked at her, unsure at first, then realized the answer came naturally. "Because they are not numbers or tools. They are people. They are worth protecting." She nodded, sensing the truth in his words. "Then your heart guides you well." Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to protect what is precious. The shadow ships withdrew as quickly as they had come, though the damage to the colony was significant. Crystals were fractured, and some shelters had been scorched. Yet the humans had survived, and more importantly, they had acted with bravery, ingenuity, and unity. Elias moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement, his own heart swelling with pride at the courage he saw. Over the following days, Kalara taught the humans subtle lessons. She asked questions. How would you choose when all paths are dangerous? What matters more, the life of one or the many? How do you act when your instinct says run, but your heart says stay? Each question forced reflection, and each reflection strengthened their ability to act with intelligence and courage. One evening, Elias led a patrol to inspect the damaged crystal spires. The air was thick with tension. Kalara walked beside him, silently. Her presence felt like a shield, not a physical one, but a calm certainty that guided each step. They reached the largest spire, fractured but still resonating with energy. These crystals are more than tools, she said softly. They respond to life, to heart. You must protect them, not just for survival, but for understanding. They are a test as much as the shadows are.
Elias understood.
It was not enough to survive physically. They had to act wisely, morally, with courage and understanding. The shadows returned again on the third day, stronger, more coordinated. Their ships moved in tight formations, attacking from multiple angles. Fires erupted across the plateau, and settlers scrambled. Elias acted as he had before, but now with greater confidence. He coordinated groups, created diversions, and used the terrain to their advantage. Kalara guided subtly, sensing fear and hesitation, directing strength to where it was most needed. Small groups of settlers faced life-or-death moments. One group was trapped near a canyon edge. Elias ran toward them, leading them through narrow paths that the shadows could not navigate easily. Another group risked crossing unstable ground to protect a crystal node. Elias gave instructions calmly, trusting both their judgment and Kalara's guidance. Each time the humans acted with courage, improvisation, and heart. By the end of the day, the shadow ships retreated once more. Damage was high, but so was the spirit of the colony. Settlers had learned that survival depended not just on technology or numbers, but on courage, judgment, and unity. Elias felt a quiet pride, seeing humans rise to the challenge, facing fear with heart. That night, Kalara and Elias stood at the edge of the plateau, looking at the colony below. Fires were being put out, shelters repaired, and the hum of the crystals pulsed gently in the night air. "They will return," she said quietly, "and next time they will come stronger. Your choices will matter more than ever. You must guide them wisely."
Balias.
Elias nodded, understanding the weight of responsibility pressing on him.
We will be ready.
Not just with weapons, but with courage and with heart. Kailara's presence seemed to glow, the crystals pulsing in resonance. Even blind, I chose humanity. Through you, they will learn to see themselves, and through choice and courage, they will survive the tests to come. As the twin moons rose over Leora, Elias realized the truth Kalara had been showing him. Survival was not enough. Humanity had to act with heart, make the right choices, and rise above fear. And with her guidance, he knew they could. The planet was quiet for a moment, the air thick with anticipation. But Elias felt ready. The shadows would come again, and humanity would meet them, not just with strength, but with courage, unity, and the power of the heart. The mornings on Leora had begun to feel heavier. The copper plains glimmered under the twin suns, but there was an unmistakable tension in the air. The settlers were alert, moving with purpose, but each face carried the weight of anticipation. Elias walked among them, checking defenses, giving advice, and quietly observing. Every small detail mattered now, The placement of barriers, the timing of patrols, the alignment of the crystal sensors. Kailara walked beside him silently. Though she could not see, she sensed everything. The vibrations of the ground, the subtle hum of the crystals, and even the flicker of fear and determination in every human heartbeat. She did not need sight to perceive the truth. Elias had begun to understand that she saw far more than humans could, reading hearts instead of eyes, understanding intentions before actions. "They will return," she said softly. Elias felt the certainty in her tone, a calm that contrasted with the rising tension among the settlers. "And next time, their attacks will be coordinated. You will need not only courage, but wisdom and unity." Elias nodded. "We're ready. Or at least, we'll do our best." Kailara's hand brushed lightly near his arm, a gesture of connection. "Your best is enough if guided by heart." The settlers were gathered again in the central courtyard, listening to Elias as he spoke with a confidence that had grown over the past days. "They have learned nothing yet. But we have learned everything we need to survive. They may be stronger, faster, more precise, but they do not understand heart. They do not understand courage or choice. And that is our advantage." Kailara stepped forward, her presence commanding attention even among the humans who had been skeptical at first. "Courage is a choice," she said. "Wisdom is choosing what is right when danger is all around. And humanity carries both. Remember this, strength alone does not protect. Heart protects." The humans absorbed her words, some inspired, some anxious, but all aware that the coming trial would not be like any they had faced before. They had survived the first attacks, but every day brought the possibility of new dangers. Elias felt the weight of leadership settling on him more heavily than ever before. That afternoon, the first signs appeared. Dark silhouettes appeared on the horizon, faster and more coordinated than before. The shadow ships approached silently, moving like predators, their shapes almost blending into the copper sky. Alarm sirens rang across the plateau, and settlers rushed to defensive positions. Elias took a deep breath. This was no longer a test. It was a battle that would measure everything they had learned. The first wave of ships swooped down, firing energy blasts at the outer structures. Elias moved quickly, directing humans to safer positions while setting up traps using the crystal formations. Kailara moved with them, not touching weapons, but guiding actions with her awareness. Her presence seemed to sharpen human judgment, slow their panic, and heighten their courage. One group of settlers became trapped near a narrow canyon. Elias sprinted to their aid, dodging blasts and falling debris. Kailara's voice, soft but clear, echoed in his mind. "To the left, trust your heart and theirs." Following her guidance, he led the group through a safe path, just as a shadow ship fired past. The battle intensified. Shadow ships attacked from multiple directions, attempting to overwhelm the settlers. Elias coordinated humans in a complex dance. Some created diversions, others used the terrain to block or trap enemy ships, and still others protected the central crystal nodes. Kailara's guidance was subtle, almost invisible, but it made the difference. She sensed fear and hesitation, reinforcing courage, and highlighting the best choices in critical moments. Elias realized something important. The shadows were precise but predictable. They calculated outcomes and relied on efficiency, but they could not anticipate creativity, improvisation, or selfless choice. The humans' unpredictable actions, guided by judgment and heart, gave them the edge. During a particularly intense moment, a shadow ship targeted a group of young settlers who had wandered too close to a crystal field. Elias ran toward them, using his knowledge of the terrain to draw the ship away. The children followed his directions, trusting his guidance. Kailara moved beside him, sensing the safest path and reinforcing his choices. Together they led the children to safety, and the ship's attack struck an empty expanse instead. "You chose well." Lara said quietly after the threat passed. Elias nodded, realizing that her approval carried a weight no human praise could match. She did not judge by success alone, but by courage, intent, and the willingness to act for others. The battle raged for hours. Fires flared across the plateau, crystal spires cracked, and settlers worked tirelessly to maintain defenses. Despite exhaustion, fear, and injury, the humans continued to act with intelligence and heart. Elias moved from group to group, encouraging, directing, and protecting. Every choice mattered. Every decision was a test of courage, ingenuity, and compassion. By the time the shadow ships withdrew, the colony was battered but intact. Settlers gathered, tending to injuries and repairing damaged structures, yet the spirit of the group was stronger than ever. Elias moved among them, quietly proud of their bravery, ingenuity, and resilience. Lara joined him at the edge of the plateau. The air was thick with smoke and the hum of crystals, yet her presence brought calm. "They will return," she said softly, "stronger and more organized, and next time your choices will matter even more. You must lead wisely."
Elias nodded, understanding the gravity of her words.
"We will face it, not just with weapons, but with courage and heart." Lara's hand hovered near his shoulder, a gesture of connection rather than touch. "Even blind, I chose humanity. Through you, they will learn to see themselves, and through courage and judgment, they will survive the trials to come." The settlers spent the following days rebuilding, training, and learning from each encounter. Lara continued to guide not by giving orders, but by posing questions that forced reflection. "Why do you risk yourself for others?" she asked one group. "What matters more, one life or many? How do you act when instinct says run, but heart says stay?" Each question shaped the human's understanding, reinforcing the qualities that no alien precision could match: courage, compassion, and choice. Elias grew more confident with each passing day. He had learned to trust his judgment, to act decisively, and to inspire others to do the same. The settlers, once fearful and unsure, had become capable, resourceful, and united. And through it all, Lara had remained beside him, sensing, guiding, and strengthening their hearts without lifting a single weapon. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the plateau, Elias and Lara stood together at the edge of the settlement. Fires burned faintly below, and the hum of the crystals filled the air. Elias looked at her, unsure of what to say. "They will return," Lara said, her voice soft yet certain. "And when they do, the test will be greater than any you have faced. Your choices will shape not just the survival of this colony, but the spirit of humanity itself." Elias exhaled, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. "Then we will be ready, not just with weapons, but with courage, unity, and heart." Lara's presence seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the crystals. "Even blind I see, and even blind I chose humanity. Through you, they will find their strength, and through your choices, they will rise." The nights that followed were tense. Settlers remained vigilant, repairing, practicing, and learning to act in synchrony. Elias moved among them, ensuring that each person understood the importance of courage, judgment, and unity. Lara continued to teach with presence rather than words, guiding each decision subtly, shaping the humans into a force that could face the unknown. Then, on the fourth day, the shadow ships returned once more. This time, their numbers were greater, their attacks coordinated, precise, and relentless. Fires erupted, alarms rang, and chaos threatened to overwhelm the colony. But Elias remained calm. He had learned from Lara that fear could be managed, courage could be strengthened, and choices could shape outcomes. He moved among the humans like a conductor, guiding their actions with intuition, observation, and heart. Groups of settlers acted with bravery and ingenuity. Some created diversions, drawing enemy ships into traps. Others protected the crystal nodes, improvising with tools and terrain. Each act of courage and decision reinforced the human spirit, shining as a beacon against the darkness of the invading forces. Kalara moved among them silently, sensing fear, courage, and determination. She guided without command, touching hearts rather than weapons, and the humans responded. Where calculation and force failed, intuition, heart, and unity succeeded. By nightfall, the shadow ships withdrew once again. Battered and confused, the colony had survived, and humanity had proven something that could not be measured by technology or numbers alone: the ability to act with courage, choice, and heart. Elias stood at the edge of the plateau, looking down at the surviving settlers and the flickering fires. Kalara joined him, her presence calm and reassuring. "You have learned well," she said. "But remember, the tests will continue. Courage, judgment, and unity are your greatest weapons. Do not forget them." Elias nodded. He understood now that survival was only part of the journey. The true challenge was to act with heart, to choose wisely, and to inspire others to do the same. The twin moons rose high above Leora, casting light over the copper plains and the resilient humans who had learned to face fear not with eyes, but with the heart. Elias felt a quiet sense of resolve. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would meet them, with courage, ingenuity, and Kalara's guidance. For the first time, he believed not just in survival, but in the power of the human spirit itself. The night on Leora was silent, but the stillness carried a weight that pressed against every heart. The twin moons hung low over the copper plains, casting long shadows across the settlement. The air vibrated with tension, the hum of the crystals beneath the surface, sharper, more insistent. Elias walked along the edge of the plateau, his mind alive with strategy, observation, and anticipation. He had prepared the settlers for this, yet no preparation could erase the fear, the uncertainty, or the enormity of what lay ahead. Kalara walked beside him, her blank eyes reflecting nothing, yet seeing everything. Elias had long since stopped thinking of her as blind. She saw not with eyes, but with perception, intuition, and heart. She sensed the vibrations of life, the intentions of the enemy, and the courage of humans. She had chosen him at the beginning, and through him, humanity had begun to rise. "They will come in force," Kalara said softly, "and this time they will not retreat until they test every strength you have. But do not doubt, courage, unity, and heart will carry you further than any weapon." Elias nodded. "We will face them, and this time we fight not just to survive, but to prove that humanity is more than a resource to be conquered." The settlers gathered in the courtyard, every face tense, every hand gripping a weapon, a tool, or a piece of crystal. Elias addressed them, his voice steady, firm, carrying the weight of leadership. "Tonight they will strike as never before. They will test our defenses, our courage, and our ability to act for each other. But remember, they cannot predict heart. They cannot calculate courage. They cannot understand choice. And that is where we are stronger than them. We act not as individuals, but as a united human spirit." Kalara stepped forward, her presence commanding even in silence. "Do not fight blindly. Do not act recklessly. Your strength lies in thought, in courage, and in understanding one another. Every choice matters. Every act of bravery counts. And I am with you, through guidance, through trust, and through heart." The first wave arrived as the suns dipped below the horizon. Shadow ships appeared in the sky like streaks of black fire, moving faster and more coordinated than before. Their energy weapons lit the copper plains, targeting crystal processors, shelters, and barricades. Alarm sirens rang, but the humans did not panic. They had been tested, trained, and guided. Elias moved through them, observing, directing, and protecting, while Kalara's presence amplified their courage and clarity. One group of settlers was pinned behind a fractured crystal spire, trapped by enemy fire. Elias ran toward them, his mind calculating the safest path, while his heart led the way. Kalara's awareness guided him silently, the timing of each step, the best positions to hide, and the precise moments to act. He led the group to safety, their trust in him unwavering. The battle intensified. Shadow ships attacked from every angle, aiming to overwhelm the humans. Elias organized defenses with precision, using the terrain, the unstable crystals, and the settlers' skills in ways the invaders could not anticipate. Kalara moved among them, sensing fear and courage, reinforcing confidence, and highlighting the best choices in critical moments. In a pivotal moment, a massive shadow ship descended toward the central crystal node, the heart of the colony's energy. Elias realized that if it was destroyed, the settlement would lose power, communication, and stability. He rallied the humans, directing some to create diversions while others reinforced the node with shields and crystal supports. Kalara focused her awareness on the node, harmonizing its vibrations with her own energy, creating a resonance that destabilized the enemy ship's targeting systems. The plan worked. The shadow ship faltered, its attack misaligned, and it was forced to retreat. The settlers, exhausted but resolute, held their ground. Each human act of courage, each split-second decision, and every choice to act selflessly had contributed to survival. Elias looked at Kalara, understanding fully that she had guided them without fighting, without a weapon, yet her influence had been decisive. The shadows did not give up. More ships arrived, larger and faster, pressing the humans to their limits. Fire spread, alarms rang, and chaos threatened to consume the plateau. Yet every human acted with purpose, inspired by leadership, trust, and heart. They adapted, improvising traps, coordinating attacks, and protecting each other with a unity the invaders could not understand. Kalara's guidance was subtle, almost invisible, but powerful. She asked questions that led humans to the right choices. Which path is safest? Who needs protection first? How can we turn danger into advantage? The answers came from their own courage, their own judgment, yet her presence made clarity possible. Elias faced moments that tested everything he had learned. A group of children was trapped near a crumbling crystal formation. Enemy fire threatened to strike them at any second. He made a snap decision. He would lead them to safety, risking himself. Kalara's awareness guided him silently, sensing the safest path and the precise timing. Together, he and the children navigated the peril, emerging unharmed. He realized that leadership was not about being invincible, but about choosing to act with courage, protecting others when fear demanded inaction. The battle continued through the night. Fires flared, structures crumbled, and the sky blazed with enemy energy. But the settlers never faltered. Each choice mattered. Each act of bravery multiplied, each human heart shining brighter than the shadow ships could comprehend. Elias moved tirelessly, coordinating, protecting, and encouraging, while Kalara's presence guided the unseen threads of the battle. By dawn, the shadow ships began to retreat. Their attacks had failed to break the colony, and their coordination faltered against the unpredictable courage of humans. Elias stood at the edge of the plateau, watching the last ships vanish into the sky. Exhausted, covered in dust and soot, he felt a surge of pride. The settlers had endured, survived, and proven that heart and courage were mightier than precision alone. Kalara joined him at the plateau's edge. The copper plains glimmered beneath the rising suns, the settlement scarred but alive. "You have learned well," she said. "Not by strength alone, but by choice, courage, and unity. Humanity's heart cannot be measured, calculated, or destroyed. You have shown it tonight." Elias exhaled, the weight of exhaustion and relief mingling in his chest. "I never imagined humans could do this. Not just survive, but rise against an enemy that seemed unstoppable." Kalara placed her hand near his shoulder. "Strength without heart is meaningless, but heart guided by courage, wisdom, and unity, this is true power. You have embodied it. You have taught humanity to rise, not just with machines, but with themselves. The settlers emerged from their shelters, tending to the wounded, repairing structures, and sharing quiet words of encouragement. Each act was small but significant, a reflection of the lessons Kalara had instilled. Act with courage, choose wisely, and support one another. The humans' triumph was not just physical, but moral and spiritual. Elias moved through them, quietly acknowledging each effort, each act of bravery, and each choice made under fire. He realized that this was the essence of what Kalara had taught him. Leadership, courage, and heart were inseparable, and they could not be measured by weapons or strength alone. Kalara's presence pulsed softly among the settlers, a calm resonance that harmonized with their courage and determination. "Even blind I chose humanity," she said. "Through you, they have learned to see themselves. Through courage, choice, and unity, humanity has risen." Elias looked at the twin suns rising over the horizon. The battle had been won, but the lessons endured. Survival was no longer merely about shelter, shields, or weapons. It was about heart, judgment, and the courage to act rightly in impossible circumstances. The humans had survived not because they were the strongest or most numerous, but because they acted with heart. They had improvised, adapted, and chosen courage over fear. And in that, Elias realized, they had become something greater than any alien calculation could predict. Kalara turned toward him, her voice calm and serene. "The journey is not over. Challenges will come again, as they always do. But humanity now knows what it is capable of. Courage, unity, and heart are their weapons, and nothing can take them away." Elias nodded, feeling a quiet resolve settle over him. "We will face whatever comes next, together." The twin moons rose high over Leora, the crystal spires glowing faintly, the settlers resting yet ready. Elias stood beside Kalara, understanding fully that the goddess who saw with her heart had changed everything. She had shown humanity that survival was not enough. They could rise, endure, and triumph through courage, wisdom, and heart. And on that plateau, under twin suns and twin moons, humanity's spirit shone brighter than any shadow, stronger than any enemy, and more enduring than fear itself. Leora had witnessed the rise of humans not as conquerors, but as beings capable of courage, unity, and moral strength, a testament to the power of choice and the indomitable human heart. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the planet, the warmth of Kalara's presence, and the courage of every human who had faced impossible odds. For the first time, he understood fully what she had seen in him from the beginning: a heart willing to act, a spirit willing to rise, and a humanity capable of greatness. The plateau was quiet now, but the legacy of the night endured, and Elias knew that no shadow, no enemy, and no fear could ever extinguish the light that burned in the hearts of humans, guided by courage, wisdom, and the gentle, unwavering presence of the goddess who saw with her heart.